Hello. Long-time lurker, first-time storyteller. So yes, as a person with severe social anxiety, I could feel my world shrinking in around me, and I knew I had to take drastic action. So I instituted what I called my new personality experiment. And to put this into context, at the time I was in my early 20s, I was going to college, and it was so bad that I would just flat out take zeros on class assignments that required talking in front of anybody. And it got to the point where I was even dropping out of classes that required too much class participation, and I couldn't handle it at all. I couldn't even answer the phone for friends or family. This was like before texting, so everybody went to voicemail. And so enter the new personality experiment, right? So I decided as my first test in my new personality experiment, I was going to go onto Craigslist and sign up for gigs that wanted film sets, that wanted volunteers, right? I had zero experience whatsoever. I just thought surely somebody would want some help. And so I sent out dozens of emails. Emails are easy, no problem. Dozens of emails went out, but I only got one reply back. And that reply said, "Great, we love your help. Call this number." My worst nightmare. I was like, how am I supposed to do this? But it's my new personality experiment. I'm gonna do it. I got this. Printed out the email, took it with me to work the next day, intending to call on my lunch break, which I did not do. So it got to be the end of the day. I'm sitting in the parking lot. All my coworkers have left. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, this is my make it or break it moment. I'm either going to leave here now and never make this phone call, and my world is going to continue to shrink, or I'm going to sit here until I get up the guts to call this number and change the trajectory of my life. So I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there. I watched the traffic come and go. I watched the sunset, and this phone number in my hand started to smudge from how tightly I was clenching it in my sweaty palm. But luckily, I could still read those numbers, and eventually, I dialed them. Now, I don't remember the phone conversation whatsoever, but I did get on the film set that day. And that was the first day of my new personality experiment and faking it until I made it. So it took me 10 years of pretending to act like how I thought a normal person would act, who didn't have social anxiety, and proving to myself that bad things don't happen when you talk to people. In fact, usually good things happen, and people like people who like people. So after 10 years, I finally realized that I wasn't faking it anymore, and I had made it. And I'll tell you about the day that I realized this. I had just gotten a new job. This was about a year ago, and they had instituted what was called Coffee Talk, which was a team-building exercise where they just paired us up with our coworkers and sent us off to the diner to get to know each other. Now, old me, this would have been my worst nightmare, right? Like vomiting in the corner, calling out sick, stressed as all get out. How am I supposed to talk to somebody for half an hour? But that's not what happened. I was so excited to talk to my coworkers. I couldn't wait to see who I got paired up with. I couldn't wait to go and talk to them and get to know them. In fact, I didn't wait. I just started randomly asking my coworkers if they wanted to have lunch with me, just so I could get to know them and get to talk to them. And that's when I realized I had achieved my goal, that I was not faking it anymore. I had made it. My new personality experiment was no longer an experiment. I had, in fact, changed my personality into a person who loved talking to people, who couldn't wait to get to know people, and who was super excited to get to come here today and tell you her story.